Soviet peasants listened to the radio for the first time. 1928. The 16th century plague doctor's mask, used during outbreaks of bubonic plague. The beak was filled with lavender, cloves, and opium, intended to purify the air of miasmas, which were then considered the cause of the disease. Alas, it offered no protection. Fleas, the carriers of the plague, freely jumped from victims onto the doctors. An intoxicated woman is detained on the street, while the policeman wears a rather mysterious smile. A warehouse filled with shoes from the victims of Auschwitz concentration camp, Poland, 1944. Child gas mask, England, 1938. A working woman from a textile plant confronts police during a labor dispute over the closure of the factory, Spain, 1986. Police confronting Mike Tyson after he bit off part of Evander Holyfield's ear, 1996. Racial hatred. A hotel owner pours acid into a swimming pool where African Americans are swimming, 1964. Preparing a slave for sale, USA, 19th century. November 11th, 1989. West Berliners watch people tearing down a section of the Berlin Wall to open a new border crossing. Jacqueline Kennedy, in a blood-stained suit, watches Lyndon Johnson take the oath of office after the assassination of her husband, John F. Kennedy, USA, 1963. A Viet Cong soldier ruins a young man's Western-style haircut and cuts his shirt. Saigon, Vietnam, 1975. A German woman sits alone with all her belongings in the war-torn city of Cologne, 1945. Stockbroker at the end of Black Monday, Toronto, 1987. A giant sea devil caught by Captain Khan, August 26, 1933. A husband and wife and their 11 children dressed for Palm Sunday, 1954. In a rural hairdresser's in Brittany, 1900. Cemetery of German soldiers who died near Moscow. The inscription on the plaque on the nearest cross reads, "They rushed to Moscow but ended up in a grave." 1865 portrait of Brigham Young, second president of the Church of Latter-day Saints, founder of Salt Lake City, and the first governor of Utah. Young had 57 children, with 56 different wives. Todd Browning on the set of his movie Freaks, USA, 1932. On an evening just like this one, many years ago, Madonna showed off incredible skill in a bar with friends. Oh, Madonna, 1980s. An organized criminal group that terrorized London from the Victorian era until the mid-20th century was called the 40 Elephants, and it was made up entirely of women. London, 1880s. Village Wedding, 1913. Incredibly happy faces. A couple shows their newborn children to their grandparents across the Berlin Wall, 1961. A mother shows a photograph of her son to a returning prisoner of war trying to find him. Austria, 1947. white women beating a woman who came out with a sign supporting equal rights for black people on St. Augustine Beach, Florida, 1962. A brave child calls the police to protect his mother from being beaten by his father, 1987. According to the women of the Badi tribe in Ethiopia, the most beautiful man is the one with the biggest belly, Ethiopia, 2013. In 1923, an American inventor named Murphy struggled to sell the police the bulletproof vest he had designed. Officers were skeptical that a mere contraption could stop a bullet and refused to purchase his product. The stubborn Murphy finally put the vest on himself and stood facing the sheriff. Blacksmith Patrick O'Neill without one arm and his special working prosthesis. England, 1929. A Polish man and a German woman tied to a pillory of shame for having a relationship. The sign reads, "I am contaminating the race." Roosevelt gets out of the car during his campaign trip to Hollywood, one of the few photos showing his paralytic condition, which journalists and photographers avoided showing during World War II. Cleo Wright's jail photo from 1940. 2 years later, he was lynched. A white mob dragged him from his cell and burned him alive for the attempted rape of a woman and the murder of a police officer. Hamas militants in the residence of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas after its capture, June 15, 2007. A hut made of mammoth bones found in Ukraine. The structure is about 15,000 years old. In Africa, a baboon named Joseph worked as a signalman and conductor on the Pretoria railway line, performing his duties without making mistakes and successfully ridding the trains of fare dodgers. A woman wanting but unable to buy a refrigerator. Sales closed for 5 years. Russia, 1990. Pablo Escobar inside one of his cash vaults. Legend has it he spent $2,500 a month just on rubber bands to hold his money together. Colombia, 1982. Berta Baranda, 5 years in prison for cutting off her husband's member for cheating, USA, 1907. High jump at the 1908 London Olympics. King George inspects the day's trophies. Tigers hunted during his visit to India, 1911. Benedict XVI, the 265th Pope, who became a member of the Hitler Youth in 1941 and served in an SS anti-aircraft battalion during World War II. Hyundai's founder paid for the shipment of 1,001 cows to his native village in 1998. He had stolen and sold a cow in his youth to buy a ticket to Seoul. Sexy lingerie, France, late 19th century. Seducing a guard, 1970s. During World War I, cats were kept in trenches to warn of gas attacks in advance. During World War II, they were taken aboard submarines as live air quality detectors. A German woman facing public humiliation because of a romantic affair with a Polish man, 1942. The famous photograph, "Thank you, Comrade Stalin, for our happy childhood," In reality, the regime executed her father, and her mother died in prison. A common punishment in Mongolia for criminals who were put in a small box that they couldn't even fit into and displayed publicly while being subjected to starvation. This photo shows a Karelian tradition. For the first 6 months after marriage, a bride would kneel and ask her mother-in-law for blessings before starting any household task. 1,894. 7 Native Americans were brought to Europe as new residents of a human zoo, 1889. The eruption of Khrushchevskaya Sopka taken from space, Russia, 1994. A research aircraft safely lands after flying over an isolated tribe in the Amazon jungle. The Los Angeles riots, hundreds of stores and homes looted. In some U.S. cities, a law from the 19th century on deformities remained in effect until the 1970s. Maimed, deformed, sick, and other people whose appearance caused disgust were prohibited from appearing in public under threat of a fine. After the death of the dog Laika in space, women from Mississippi wrote to the UN. They condemned the cruelty to the dog, proposing to use little Negroes from their city for scientific experiments instead. Special license plates for habitual offenders with distinctive badges greatly simplified police work. USA, 1939. 8-year-old Christian accepts the flag during the memorial service for his father, who was killed on patrol in Iraq just a few weeks before he was due to return home. Surrendered Berlin, Germany, 1945. Testing a new plum pudding on 10 pairs of twins, USA, 1963. Those saved by Oskar Schindler and their children at his grave, the Catholic cemetery on Mount Zion in Jerusalem, 1993. Lena Medina, the youngest mother in medical history, gave birth at the age of 5. A doctor tracked the progression of Alzheimer's disease in a patient over 15 years by analyzing the signatures on medical forms. If caught by the police for jaywalking in South Korea, you had to stand in the shame box for 30 minutes. 1970s. Merchants prepare for the repeal of prohibition in Ohio, USA, 1933. The boldest necklines of the 1950s. Photograph entitled "The Eyes of Hatred" of Joseph Goebbels when learning that the photographer taking his picture was Jewish, 1933. Passengers of the New York subway sitting without newspapers during the citywide newspaper strike, 1953. The First Feminists, 1911. A Dallas police officer holds the rifle that, according to the investigation, was used to kill John Kennedy, 1963. This girl found this photograph in an old family photo album 66 years after the start of World War II and learned that her kind grandfather was a Nazi soldier involved in mass killings. The felling of massive sequoia trees in the USA, early 20th century. Operation Overlord, June 6th, 1944. The Normandy landings marked the beginning of the liberation of Nazi-occupied Western Europe. Cyclists, scooter riders, and motorcyclists have been irritating other road users since 1900. The Football War, 1969. The direct cause of the war was Honduras' loss to El Salvador in playoff matches for the 1970 FIFA World Cup. U.S. National Guardsmen with a convoy of trucks carrying captured Iraqis. Kuwait, 1991. The population hides in a swamp during the Vietnam War. During World War II, the Soviet Army trained suicide dogs intended to destroy enemy tanks. Hungry dogs were trained to find food under mock tanks. In combat, the dogs were strapped with explosives and sent under approaching tanks, where they were supposed to die. Circus elephant from the Aymar brothers plowing land in occupied France, 1941. Men stand in line at the unemployment office hoping to get any work during the Great Depression, 1930. The pear of anguish was invented in the 16th century and used to punish women for adultery and abortions. It was inserted into the intimate area and the screw was turned, causing infernal torment. The car in which Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed were traveling after the car accident on August 31st, 1997. Skeleton of Siamese twins in the Mütter Museum. An Australian soldier watches as a Japanese soldier prepares to detonate a grenade against his own head, choosing to go out on his own terms. New Guinea, 1942. An Indian kindergarten textbook in which a white woman is portrayed as the ideal of beauty, 1990s. Typists type blindfolded during a typewriting competition, Paris, 1940. In 1938, London post offices allowed mailing ducks, rabbits, etc., ended when blood-stained packages started arriving. Execution in Turkey in the 18th century. A woman caught in a sexual act before marriage was sewn into a sack with cats and drowned. French Catholic clergy in Dijon burning an effigy of Santa Claus in front of children in protest against the pagan Christmas, 1951. Let's make friends. A speech by Adolf Hitler to the world community, February 29, 1936. This legendary photo is insane. The girl is Chinese partisan Cheng Benhua, the men are Japanese soldiers. The night before, they raped Cheng, and immediately after the photo session, they stabbed her with bayonets. Cheng Benhua became a symbol of China's resistance to Japanese aggression and a model of endurance and astonishing courage for the whole world. Cats preparing for a spaceflight at the Space Research Laboratory, Paris, 1963. The first image of people in a photograph happened by accident, taken in 1838. Riots, 1960, Tokyo. In those years, Japan witnessed mass student group protests. The main demand was the closure of U.S. military bases. In the 1960s, a popular hippie slogan was, "Bombing for peace is like having sex for virginity." It was used by young people protesting the U.S. war in Vietnam. American Red Cross collects donations using a vacuum cleaner. New York, World War I. 1930s, Germany. A firefighter tests the latest invention, a suit that protects him from fire using jets of water coming from the top of the helmet. Evelyn Smith, a former stripper, was hired by a jealous woman to kill her lover. USA, 1935. Teeth filing in Indonesian tribes, 1938. In Soldiers Fall, Income Rises. Poster from the USSR, 1968. Thank you for watching this video until the end. I hope these photos impressed you. Some may have made you angry, brought a smile, made you happy, or perhaps even caused some negativity. Feel free to leave your comments and stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye.